Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'm your host, Hassan. Joining me, as always, Tristan.
Hey.
And, folks, we've got another fine episode as Tristan is on his trek to watch all of Coronation Street. We've now reached season 32. We're back with everybody's favorite characters to hear more about Deirdre, Ken, Les.
Les.
Yeah, Les.
That's a choice, but sure, go on. Yep.
Like Leslie.
Just call him Leslie or her or whatever.
Him.
Okay. I assumed. Let's just call him Leslie. Why do they call him Les?
It's a nickname. I don't.
Les.
Tristan, you're the Coronation Street expert. You're the one who's watched 3,000 some episodes already.
Let me tell you a thing or two about Coronation Street, Hassan.
Yeah.
It's British.
Yep.
It's on a street.
Yes.
Nothing to do with kings or queens.
What? No, it definitely has things to do with kings.
Has something to do with kings and queens. There we go.
Tristan, you seem very confused about the thing you're supposed to be, expert on that, you're watching all the episodes of.
I may have watched them. I just didn't pay attention to them at all.
Okay, that's fair. You can watch something without actually, digesting it and taking it all in. That's fair.
I tend to watch Coronation Street with my phone up. Well, I get that sweet other show that takes place in England. That's also everybody likes. That's also
you're gonna have to be a lot more specific than
also
just
kind of
show
about
that
royalty
in England. Well, no, Coronation Street isn't directly about royalty. It's just there are plenty of plot points where they talk about them.
Yeah, sure. I can't remember the show I'm talking about. God damn it.
I hate you. God, not the Royals. Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey, that's the one. I know there's an Abbey involved, yes.
No, that's not a soap opera.
Yeah, well, too bad. Anyway, that one is what I look up while I'm watching Coronation Street. And then, I have my phone, my other phone actually, I had two phones on the side, and that's playing Doctor Who, because I got bored in between.
That's too much.
Is it? Doesn't take that much.
3 different shows happening at the same time? Yeah.
Oh. I don't feel like it is, but if you say it is, I guess it is, maybe.
Also, you're gonna need more shows than just those 2 to go along with Coronation Street. You're gonna run episodes of those real quick.
I can rewatch the shows. It's not a problem.
Tristan, how many episodes of Coronation Street do you think there are?
25 and a half.
Close to 11,000.
Are you sure?
Yes. It is close to 11,000 episodes at this point. It's a show that's been running since the 60s and for close to a decade now puts out, I believe, 8 episodes a week.
Now, Now the question is now, are these episodes like a minute or 2 long?
No, they're full half-hour episodes.
This may be your problem. I'm going to switch to a show that has less episodes.
All right, well,
I feel like
Fine. What show?
The Simpsons. Oh, yeah.
Sounds lame, but all right, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
No Ken or Deirdre in it, but fine.
No, but there's Dietrich Bader.
Okay, that's pretty good. I like Dietrich Bader.
Yeah, he's in a bad episode, but Anyway, we'll get there. The Simpsons, everybody. The season 11 and 12 Great Simpsons Rewatch. Here we are with 11 and 12. Supposedly, the end of the golden age is 10-11. Yeah. So,
11? People still think 11 counts as golden age, huh?
Well,
Now looking at this episode list going,
I don't.
That's not Golden Age.
I don't. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Let's be clear. I don't think so.
Okay.
A lot of people cite this season 11 specifically as the end of the Golden Age.
They're wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, season 11 is not that bad.
No, it's definitely not bad, but just looking at the episode list and going, yeah, no, these aren't definitely not Golden Age. I could definitely see some ones where it's like, oh yeah, that episode. That's an okay episode.
Yep.
It's not bad, but
Yeah. Well, okay, just to kick this all off then, what do you think I gave season 11 as a ranking?
So I think you usually rate a little bit higher than I would.
Maybe.
So I'm gonna guess, because I think last season we were still in the 8th. 8 point something. So I'm gonna go 7.9.
Ooh, 7.9. 7.81.
I was close.
There
I was
you go,
close.
yes.
Yeah. I was torn between 7.8 or 7.9.
Totally fair. Yeah, so 7.81. So you're within the ballpark. This season is, it's better than mediocre. In some review,
Put it on the box.
Yeah. It's okay.
Season 11. Better than mediocre.
In some review spheres, a 7.81 is actually really good. And in some ways, this season is also pretty damn good. There is a lot of good stuff in this season. Do you want to guess how many 10s are also in this season? 10 out of 10s?
I mean, you made it sound like multiple, because my guess would have been 1.
Oh, yeah? Well, the Sun, in season 11, there's not just 1 or 2, there's 3.
Okay. I have no idea which they are, so let's hear them.
We have. Well, okay. One of them, of course, is going to be my, actual top. So, I'll reveal that one last. But first things first, you have E-I-E-I-Do, which is the one where Homer gets involved into glove slapping competitions and basically pisses off the wrong person, has to flee for the farm they used to live on, and they farm tobacco.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's a 10, because I do love tobacco. I often use it as a reference point.
Yeah.
In particular, Coke Black, spelled B-L-A-K, very much in my youth was my tobacco of, oh yeah, no, this does taste like grandma's ashes, and yet I want to drink more.
Exactly.
But I'm being surprised. I wouldn't have thought it was a 10, but let's hear next 10.
It's a really fun episode. 10 number 2. The next 10 out of 10 is 8 Misbehavin'. That's the one where Apu and Manjula have their octuplets. I did not think that was going to hold up, but that one actually surprised me and was a really good joke a minute episode.
Okay.
With great lines like, how about this pooply? Mom, no, everyone at school picks on the pooply kids. Even I do. I just hate them so much. Stuff like that. Good quotes, good jokes, a lot of fun.
Okay.
But my actual favorite episode of this season, 10 out of 10, well deserving. You want to guess what it is, or you want to just lay it out there?
Is it gonna be Little Big Mom?
Nope.
Okay, I don't know then.
It is Guess Who's Coming to Criticize Dinner, season 11, episode 3. So, this is the one where Homer becomes a food critic. Period, end of story. Not much more about the plot besides that. He pisses off everybody in Springfield because he goes from being a
yes.
like really
Okay.
positive critic to a very negative critic.
Negative. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also a great laugh-a-minute episode. Just a good plot line. It's fun watching Homer do a job that he could actually be good at. And then also, like, there's just some fun gags in this one. This is where you get the Le Bombe eclair.
Yeah, okay. No, I
Yeah.
remember this one now. That's a pretty good one.
This eclair is over 1 million calories. 25 pounds of butter per square inch, covered with chocolate so dark, light cannot escape its surface. Ah, yes. Death by chocolate. And poison. I'll stick into poison.
Yeah, no, there's definitely still some good writing happening at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
That's okay. Yeah.
One of my favorite jokes of, like, so when the La Bombe is actually revealed, and it's like, this is the thing about the episode. Like, this is like the thing that like, is going to endanger Homer. And Bart has figured it out. He's like, Dad, no, it's going to kill you. I've had a good run. Just willing to die for this eclair. There's some good jokes in this one. It's not much more to be said about that. Besides that, the cultural relevance is not very high because it's not 8 Misbehaving, which has a lot more cultural relevance, and it's not E-I-E-I-Do, which has like the cultural relevance of tobacco, which caused them to cause some people to crossbreed tobacco and tomato plants.
Oh, people actually did that?
Yeah, it's legit. You could do that. Yeah, it's a thing. So like tomatoes and tobacco are actually very close genealogically, which means you can actually crossbreed them into the same plant and make tobacco. And if it wasn't for the fact that the Simpsons did that, like there were some people trying. They knew that was possible, but the Simpsons are like, yeah, we did it in the show, and people were like, let's try harder and figure this, and they did. So it inspired that, or so the story goes. Could be wrong.
But a terrible legacy to have.
Yeah, really though. So there are some like cultural relevances there. But again, neither of those two episodes really compare to how rapid fire episode 3 is. It's just one after the other, boom, 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 joke, 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 joke. It's so dense that I couldn't write down any of the best quotes. I got a few, but like one of my favorite ones. If he's so smart, how come he's dead?
Okay, it's a pretty good one.
Sorry, Marge, but your cookie only has 2 moves: shake and bake. But you like shake and bake. You used to put it in your coffee. Yeah, yeah. It's packed with that. Packed.
Fantastic. So we've heard about the heights of this season, so let's hear about the lows. We are on that downward slope. We're on the golden age. Let's hear how bad this gets.
Okay, so here's the thing. The lowest episode is a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It is Kill the Alligator and Run. Episode 19 of season 11.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. There's a part of me that wants to like this episode. It does have some good stuff in it. But this is eponymous of the next 5 or 6 seasons of the, hey, we don't quite know where this is going, so let's just go in every direction possible. So it starts off with Homer going crazy because he figures out that he's going to die one day pretty soon. And so he gets insomnia, and he has to go to Florida for like a vacation. And while there, it's spring break. Okay, spring break snaps him out of it. He joins the party, and now his insomnia is cured. Fantastic. He kills the beloved alligator of the town. Okay. And now the cops are after him. Sure. He rides the rails with the family in his car, and they end up in a like redneck community in which him and the family have to basically become waitstaff and cooks at a diner, and they live a very comfortable, very down-to-earth redneck life, and then they get taken away to jail, and then they are let out of jail because Captain Jack, the beloved alligator, is still alive. Oh, this episode
it's basically just the ending of Barry. I've got you.
It's not the ending of Barry. What the fuck?
What? They go into high,
how dare you?
So this was actually the one I was going to talk about, but I was going to bring up as the sort of third, but another one we could talk about. But the reason I was going to go to this one is this is now at least, if I remember correctly, the third episode where a major plot point of it is, oh no, Homer having to confront that he is going to die. Because there was one where he ate the blowfish.
Yes.
I think there was one, he had to undergo surgery or something, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's just really? We're doing this
bypass,
for
the blowfish.
Third time. Bypass, yes.
Yeah. So this one, okay, to be fair, his death is not totally imminent. It's because he takes a quiz, and the quiz says, hey, buddy, you might die one day.
Yeah, it's just...
not... Yeah.
It feels like, okay, you know what? We're now... And the other episode I'm going to talk about is kind of the same thing of okay, it now feels like we are starting to run up against that problem of...
Oh, yeah.
These are characters trapped in a perpetual state. And so even though we've already addressed these things emotionally, these characters should have progressed as characters. They should have developed and come to terms with certain things. Oh no, they have to go through the same thing again. Man, it's just... Hey, I remember watching these episodes and not feeling it at the time. It's probably part of it is just the condensed nature of us talking about this, that, hey, it wasn't that long ago. We were talking about this exact same plot point, but...
Yep.
It just feels like, man, I don't know. I think I would give up around this point, rewatch The Simpsons and go, yeah, I think I'm done.
Well, then, you're a weaker man than I. Or a better man. I don't know. But either way, yeah, I understand that. And you're right. This is the third time this has come up in the series. Sort of. This one, like I said, gives a bit of... It's a bit of a... This one deserves a bit of a leeway, just because he doesn't totally know he's going to die, unlike the other two. This episode, though, it's like I said, the more emblematic and problematic thing about it was the fact that it is just so scattershot. So, yeah, this is this starts to become the real problem with The Simpsons over the next 6 to 8 seasons, let's say.
Yeah, it's sort of it feels like you'd almost throw darts at a board to track the path of things of okay, we've got Homer decides to quit his job, which leads to him having to commit burglary, which then leads to they move out to Vegas so that he can commit Ocean's 11. You're like, okay, that's kind of just seems semi-random, guys. You just kind of had these three ideas and you said, great, let's somehow build a plot to get from A to B to C.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, your example is also most of the way to an actual episode.
Oh, for a second, I thought you were about to say they did that episode. It was like, wow.
So very close. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, two things about this last episode. About the worst episode of this season. Kid Rock is in it.
I remember that part.
It's the height of new metal. So, Kid Rock. Whatever. And then also Dietrich Bader cannot save this episode. He puts on a very good performance. He is very good in this episode. But it's not good enough. This is also where you get the baby cuffs. I think the baby cuffs for this kid.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just yeah. No, it's an unfortunate one because there are some good jokes. However, the plot is too fucking crazy that it's so hard to follow. And I'm talking this is a 23-minute long episode, and it feels like it's a lot longer because of everywhere it's going. Anyway, what is the episode you want to talk about? Well, besides this one, I guess.
So actually, I want to talk about the one before that. I have no idea what this title is even supposed to be a reference to. Days of Wine and Doses?
Doses.
Days
Yeah. So.
of Wine and Doses. I have no idea what that's supposed to be a reference to. But
really?
this is basically one where, it's Barney confronting his alcoholism. Go back to what I was saying earlier. Oh, okay. All right. So,
this is actually
like having an episode where we talk about that and address it. That's good. Hey, maybe if that actually impacted that character and affected them, I would care. But I'm going to assume that there's probably either an episode later after this, and I guarantee there are episodes in later seasons where it's like, no, Barry's still just a drunk, whatever. That's just his character. We can't completely not, have that.
Okay. You are both off base and so hitting the mark at the same time. Here's the thing. So, first off, 7 out of 10. Decent episode.
Yeah, I'm not saying I think this individual episode is bad.
It doesn't matter. That the scoring doesn't matter in this case in this episode. Because here's the thing with this episode, and this is also emblematic of a problem, is because you see Barney's sobriety kind of goes the way of how a comic book writer will write a superhero like slugfest. Like, is Iron Man going to win or Captain America? It's whichever the writer wants. And now that's Barney's sobriety is like, is Barney still a drunk or is he sober? So for a few seasons, it goes back and forth. And there are like full seasons where like Barney is barely even in the season. Except for like maybe a background character. He might have like a line or two. And he's usually either drunk or still kind of sober. In the later seasons, they flip back onto full-on drunk because that's what everybody knows Barney as. His character progression of like, I got sober-ish and like is constantly kind of like teetering on the edge of the wagon is like that became a good thing they were doing with Barney. I liked that they sobered him up because there's a point. There's a point where like you kind of want a little bit of character progression because like having everything go back to status quo was fine. I understand why they would do that, but in some ways you kind of want to do a little more with the character, and Barney is a great example of that because like we got him sober, let's try and ride that horse a little bit, and they do, but like I said, it's a very up and down ride where they are either sober or either drunk as hell or sober, and it's
like in particular with him, one of the problems with it is when they go, let's make him sober, they then make him have some interesting character traits for the city he is in. It's like, Barney actually likes foreign films, specifically in this case French ones, and
he does.
Hey, I want to say it's like, he's, familiar with opera. Mm-hmm. And then they make him a drunk. He's just a burping idiot.
Yeah.
It sucks that, hey.
It does suck, yeah.
You decide, what if we gave this character depth and then you just tear it all away to just turn him back to fart joke character.
Exactly, yeah.
And
it's sad.
This episode is so emblematic of, even though I'm not watching it, where I feel like I am at with The Simpsons at this point in time. I'm like, this feels around the point where I'd be like, I'm kind of done with this. Like, there's been enough episodes. I've seen enough of this show that going back to at the La Bombe episode, hey, there's still good writing here. There's still great jokes.
Yeah.
But God, I feel so fatigued by just the characters and the inability for things that have already happened to actually matter and have impact and weight to them.
Yeah, I fully agree. And this thing with Barney's sobriety is a big example of that because, like I said, it wavers so much. But Barney would have been a great character to try and take and do a piece like this about him. And here's the thing, for the first, 2 seasons of him showing up, he is sober. Like, they sober him up. Like, Lisa became a vegetarian, Barney became sober. He still hangs out at Moe's Tavern, but he now drinks water, or soda water, or whatever, right? So instead of being okay, his one thing is that he's drunk as hell. Now his one thing is he's sober. That was the thing for a few seasons. And then they just dropped it post season 19. We'll get there, but I mean, they just kind of drop it on its head because there's a certain point where The Simpsons has kind of eaten itself. It is now the Ouroboros, and it's kind of going back to its own well, for jokes and storylines and character development. There's a part of me that is surprised they haven't just brought back Maud Flanders. But that was such a big event.
Look, if they just full leaned into it like that and were willing to just comic book style reset certain things, I think that would actually be terrible, but kind of funny and weird.
I mean, to be fair, there was a Trees of Horrors where Maud Flanders does make an appearance. Yeah, as a demon.
Oh,
just to further poke fun of that actress.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, Days of Wine and Doses. Good episode. Okay. Great example of what they can do with the show. Even better example of what eventually goes wrong, unfortunately.
Okay. That then moves us into season 12.
Yeah.
And this is something that I'm slightly curious. So season 12, it starts.
Yes.
November 1st.
It does start.
2000.
Yep.
We had Kid Rock with the Gator episode. I forget the name of it already.
Kill the gator and run. Kill the alligator and run.
Kill the alligator and run.
Yeah.
How much of the Y2K-ness do we start to feel by this point? And what I mean by that is we need to talk about technology and computers a whole bunch in these episodes now because it's 2000.
Yeah, cell phones are a little more prevalent, a little more, just a bit. But more so, it's less about computers. There is one big episode about computers in season 12.
Sure, I don't mean singular episodes. I just mean in my head. A lot of shows in 99, 2000, 2001. It was the turn of the millennium. There was this just repeat sort of, characters talking about and just focusing on kind of technology and this idea of it's the turn of the millennium. Everything is now futuristic. That, hindsight's maybe a little silly.
Yeah, a little bit. The one thing is that this season has 4 Matrix references across the entirety of it. Very starved for Matrix references, yes.
God, what year did the Matrix even
99.
Oh, 99. Okay, that's a little early to be making more than one Matrix reference, is what
you
I'll say.
would think that, wouldn't you?
Okay, checks out to what I was curious about then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess. Last season was 7.81, right?
Yeah. What is the score of this one? Curious.
I think it's gonna be a bit of a bigger drop. I'm going to say 7.4.
Ooh, you're still too high.
Really?
Try again.
I mean, I can't be that high. 7.2?
Still too high. 6.
Wow.
6.95. Fuck this season.
Yeah, okay. All
Season
right.
12 is pretty hot trash.
I want to hear the worst episode this season has.
Oh boy. Okay. I gotta read my notes. So the worst season. Okay. The worst of the worst. Oh, I asked you about which title card I went up with, and this is getting revealed now. Is season 12, episode 17, Simpson Safari. The Simpsons are going to Africa, son. They're going to Africa.
I just when we were talking about the whole it feels like they're throwing things at a dartboard. I just need to read the Wikipedia summary of this, and the way
by all means
it just jumps from it's the most what are you even talking about, which is when the Simpsons run out of food thanks to a bag boy strike caused by Homer.
Yeah.
The family finds an old box of animal crackers with a sweepstakes that sends the Simpsons to Africa. That is so. So we got 3 words. We've got bag boy strike, animal crackers, and Africa. Figure out a plot.
That is basically it. Yes. What? It's freaky. So okay. Okay. So here's the thing with this episode. First off, they do a lot of jokes about unions. That might not
anti-union.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, Homer is anyway. That kind of doesn't really hold up too well. Surprise, surprise. This is also hilariously the return of the kick line couch gag. The last time we'll see it, I believe.
Sorry, what's the kick line couch gag?
It is the most used couch gag for when they are trying to just fill time. It's kind of a.
You to explain.
Okay, there's a couch gag in the early seasons of The Simpsons, in which they when they get to the couch, the whole thing peels away, and it's a big kick line of Rockette girls with a circus behind them, and they're doing this big performance. Exactly. This one is used specifically if they have run low on time and they're like, we got to fill with something. The kick line takes a lot longer than the other couch gags. Let's just go with that. Cool. Makes sense. However, it is usually emblematic of basically them just fucking ending the episode and without any real resolution or any real reason, or they just know it's kind of going to be a bit of a bad one, so they go kick line couch gag, screw it, put it out, edit it down to 23 minutes, you're good. There is one good line in the entire episode, and that is when they're going through their pantry for food, and they come in with a jar. And Homer's like, cream of toast? That's such an weird thing to... Yeah. Just one of those things. That's it. That's out. Done. A lot of bagging on unions. A lot of the Simpsons have gone to Africa. And guess who's dressing up as African tribes people? It's the Simpsons!
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah.
2000s, huh?
2000s. And then also they do a Jane Goodall thing at the end with the character is called Joan Bushwell in this instance. And
so they couldn't actually get Jane Goodall then.
No, she's crazy as a bag of hammers. So yeah, there's no way they could get her. But This Joan Goodall character. Basically, it's Joan Bushwell. It's a Jane Goodall stand-in character, and it does the job. It doesn't paint Jane Goodall in a good light, so that's probably why she wouldn't have done the bit, even if she could have. Because it does show how shitty Jane Goodall was to the chimps, and like the weird shit she did. But like in this case, it was it's Joan Bushwell, the character, and she is forcing the chimps to mine for diamonds. Diamonds, thousands of diamonds.
Right, that's what she's doing. God,
diamonds.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I will say,
It's a bit sucks. Go on.
I'm vaguely surprised that this is the worst one, and it's not the final episode, Simpsons Tall Tales, because I remember this being a bad one of those.
So here's the thing. This
kind of boring interpretations of those stories.
Yes, but it landed in the middle. Actually, it landed a little bit above the middle because, like, the hobo is interesting, like the character who is telling the tall tales.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I kind of like that guy. Yeah,
I do remember him being good. The rest of the parts of it, like the Johnny Appleseed, the Huckleberry Finn stories, I just remember being like, these are not bad, but they're just not that good.
The Huck Finn story's all right. It's all right.
Now here's my question.
Yeah.
For as bad as this Simpsons Safari episode is, how in the full, we look ahead to like future seasons, because past seasons, we know there's some bad episodes, but whatever. But looking ahead to future seasons, is this roughly the floor, the sort of low point as an average? Maybe there are worse episodes after this, but I don't care about your onesies or twosies that crop up. Yeah, I just mean, hey, if we get to like season 18, like, wow, this is a stinker of an episode. Is this about as low as those get? Or even it's like, oh no, like that season has like 6 episodes that are worse than this somehow.
I mean, let's just say later on,
okay, all right.
So I gave this episode 3 out of 10. That's still very low. Let's just say later on, the number 3 crops up a lot more than I'd like it to.
Okay.
Not as much as 4 does.
Sure. So this is still like about as low as it gets, but it could get this low multiple times, huh?
Oh, this gets lower. It gets lower later on. Yeah, we're not even a little bit of a spoiler for everybody for the next season of The Simpsons. Season 13. We'll get there when we get there, of course, but season 13 is the very first episode, very first season to have a 1 out of 10. A 1 out of 10.
Oh God, 0, you coward!
I can't allow 0.
Coward.
And in fact, it has 2 1s out of 10.
Okay, all right. So
it has a clip. It has a clip show that is regarded as the worst clip show ever.
Okay, all right. No, I mean that's fair.
And an episode that's just so fucking bad, I was angry at it, and I couldn't watch the show for like a couple days.
Wow. Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah.
To lighten things up.
So that's
how many
13,
10s
actually.
does this season have? Because there's at least 1 10 for me here.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yes.
What's your 10 out of 10? I want to hear that.
So that's the episode I'll talk about, because it sounds like you don't have any.
Okay. This season does not have 1 10 out of 10. It has 2 10 out of 10s, actually.
Okay, it does have
Yeah,
two.
it does.
All right. Let's hear them.
Okay. Obviously, one of the ones is the episode I want to talk about. Or actually, I think I changed this recently. Give me 1 second. I did not. Okay. Okay. This was a bit of a oversight on my side, I feel, because I rewatched this episode today, and I do feel like it's not necessarily a 10 out of 10. But it's interesting because of how weirdly cartoony it is.
Okay.
And the episode that I don't want to talk about is called Bye Bye Nerdy. It's 10 out of 10 just because it's got a storyline. It wants to tell a specific story. It has a good B plot. It's a little dark, but like the idea behind it is that Lisa finds like the cure for bullying. And this one has significant cultural relevance. Like, the X Factor is off the charts this one because Lisa is pointing at the whiteboard that we all know and love for that meme.
Oh, that's where that one comes from. Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Also,
Okay.
You can dance. You can dance. Everybody look at your pants. That too. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the actual 10 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
That one's going to go to worst episode ever. Which is an episode where the comic book guy has a heart attack. And in order to keep this store operational, he temporarily lets Bart and Milhouse run it. This one has a plot that's a little bit all over the place, just a tiny bit over the place, because it goes in a couple directions. B plot is comic book guy falling in love with Agnes, which is Seymour Skinner's mother. But the A plot is that, you know, Bart and Milhouse have this contentious relationship while they're trying to run the store, but then they come together because they find a bunch of like secret tapes of everybody in Springfield. And they decide to open up like a black market business showing these tapes off. So, you know, there's some stuff there. This one has a lot of good jokes. Very laugh-a-minute. Has a great guest appearance by Tom Savini. So that's fun.
Wait, who's Tom Savini again?
Special effects guy. Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Etc.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird, man. I was looking at a lot of the special guests in this episode, and it very much feels like you can look at it and sometimes see the like, oh, this person is here because the writers wanted them to be here.
Yeah, sure.
Because, like, some of them you just look at and you go, like, oh, you know, like a Tom Savini, where it's like that guy is not, he's not, like, mainstream famous, right? You putting him in that episode does not increase the draw of that episode. It doesn't impact
but it makes sense, though, because he is...
show.
Yeah, but he makes sense because he is cult relevance, you know? Because Tom Savini's a name that horror nerds would know.
No, you like, yeah, of course, you know, these people who do Treehouse of Horror episodes are going to like him. And that's what I mean. Like, he feels like he's there because the writers really wanted him to be there. And they're like, we are just fans of this guy. Whereas it's like, oh, there's an episode with NSYNC, or there's an episode with Frankie
The Navy
Muniz.
episode, yeah. Oh, oh God, yes.
And Kathy Griffin, and you just look at those and go, yeah, you know, maybe they like some of these people. I don't think they dislike them, but some of it definitely feels like oh, well, these are just the celebrities we can get, so how do we write them into this episode? Or, you know,
I mean,
hey, we're thinking this idea. Can we get this group of people in? Yes? Okay, great. We'll write that episode,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's more or less what it tends to be. John Goodman, I believe, is in this season or the previous season. Previous season. I can't remember which one, but basically, it's kind of like we have this actor. Let's put them in. Like in season 11, that's like Mel Gibson comes on episode 1. So yeah. There's a lot more to this episode. I do want to point out, I think the main reason why this episode, my worst episode ever, is my 10 out of 10, is for a single line. And that is, you have Clancy, Lou, and Ed, the cops, burst into the bedroom where Agnes and Comic Book Guy are having sex.
Oh.
Yeah, that's her reaction too. And they burst in, guns drawn, because they found out that this bootleg thing was happening. This black market showing was happening, and the Comic Book Guy has these tapes. And so they burst in to kind of arrest Comic Book Guy for being like this horrible peeping Tom, basically. And they see this, and Ed, the non-black cop, goes like, and he turns to the side to like vomit, and Lou says this, and it's amazing. He puts his hand on Ed's shoulder and says, "It's okay. It doesn't affect you. You're not human." What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
What does that mean? What do you mean? Is that an indictment on police in this case, or is it just because Ed is not a human being? What is this line?
Now I really want them to have an episode like this season where it's like, oh no, it's a robot. It's like, yeah, he's been a robot for years, and they cut back to that moment, and you're just like, oh shit.
It never comes back up. Never comes back up at all. It's just like they did this to Ed, and I'm just like, what happened here? Who wrote this line? Why did they write this line? Like, this is a very Conan O'Brien style line, I feel, of like, here's this non sequitur bit about Ed because he's it doesn't matter. This line is the entire episode at this point. I have been obsessed with this line for a bit because, like, what do you mean he's not human? What is this? Excuse you.
Thank you.
It's oh god, just it's okay. It doesn't affect you. You're not human. Whew. Yeah, crazy line, and like, yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna. I meant to ask it earlier. Have we gotten to, because where this episode involves Comic Book Guy? Have we already had the episode where he like tries to capture or has captured Lucy Lawless?
Yeah, that's
already happened.
Yeah, that was Treehouse of Horrors.
Okay.
That was the last.
That was the Treehouse of Horrors. Okay, yes,
yeah. That was season 11.
Okay,
that was season 11.
Non-canon, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That was season 11's Treehouse of Horrors, which has like one of the best lines. You know, I told you I'm Xena, I'm not Lucy Lawless, because yeah, Xena can't fly, but Lucy Lawless can. Yeah, okay. I'll have to point this out though. Even though I gave season 12 a very low rating, I think season 12 has some of the most interesting, weird episodes of them just trying some shit. And I was talking to a friend of the show, Andrew, about this, and it's kind of because at a certain point, they stop caring about the show. And this is that era, I believe, where they do kind of care, but they stop caring because they're never going to go away. They're always going to be around. They cut a deal at a certain point where if they just keep producing episodes, this show is never going to go anywhere. It's always going to be...
Seems like it, yeah.
It's always going to be around, yeah. I mean, we have 35 seasons now. So, yeah. But, with that said, this season has some pretty interesting episodes. And some weird, like, mostly weird ones. Now I did. I know I gave Simpsons Safari the worst rating for the season. I do want to just give a honorable mention for Homer versus Dignity, which I gave a 7 out of 10 to, because it was pretty good until a certain point, and this is a hated episode. And even though I gave it a 7 out of 10, I do also hate this episode. Homer versus Dignity. It's because Homer does get raped by a panda.
Oh, yeah, he does. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's terrible. So that's good. And then there's also the next episode, The Computer Wore Menace Shoes. That is the one I think everybody should watch for probably one of the strangest episodes of The Simpsons I've seen in this entirety of this rewatch project. It's mind-blowing. This is... Oh, okay. This is pre-Columbine. You need to point this out. But this episode is fun, except for a very specific part where Homer gets a computer, and there's this point where they're obsessing over the computer, and Bart walks in the room, and like music cuts, all that stuff, and he has this very serious like back and forth. Well, it's not a back and forth. It's like one-sided conversation with everybody, where he says, "I got suspended from school today." They go on with the conversation for a little bit. Cuts back to him. "They found a switchblade in my locker." Back to the conversation a little bit. Cuts back to him. "I took a swing at a cop." Back to the conversation with the computer. Cuts back to him. "I'm just mad all the time."
Oh, yeah, no, couldn't get away with that episode now.
No, you couldn't. Yeah, also the word emoticon is in this one. Yeah. There's, again, some just off-the-wall references here and some weird... It's, okay. This episode has a full-on, like the last half of the episode is a full-on reference parody to 1967's show, like British show, The Prisoner.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, look it up. It's a wild reference. Anyway, Homer becomes prisoner because he has an anti-vax report. He goes anti-vax, and it's a whole...
Could write that episode today.
You could, yeah. Yeah, so they start doing... This is the one thing I want to point out. With that one, the previous one, Homer vs. Dignity, plus worst episode ever, and Simpsons Safari, is that all these episodes start feeling like Treehouse of Horrors. I pointed this out before, but now it's really that way, because now we understand that Treehouse of Horrors is like a main thing everybody goes for. Anyway, what is the one you want to talk about, Hassan?
So what I want to talk about, and the one that I actually, and maybe this episode isn't a 10 out of 10, but it's definitely a favorite episode of mine.
Yeah, sure.
Which is Trilogy of Error.
Trilogy of Error, okay.
Yeah, I really like this episode. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is the episode where it kind of tells 3 different stories and it interweaves them together. It's the Linguo episode.
It is, yes.
God, I just love...
Linguo dead?
Linguo dead?
Linguo is dead. Homer cuts his thumb off.
Yeah, some really good Fat Tony and his crew of... I can't remember his name, but he's just like... Yeah, he's really good at sewing, stitches and injuries. And it's like, boss. I really remember liking this episode and thinking the way that
the cultural...
It was... Go ahead.
The X factor for the cultural significance is off the charts for this one.
Yeah. But I remember really liking it and feeling that probably even now, you still don't see too many shows written this way, other than kind of like one-off special episodes.
Yeah.
Of, hey, we're going to show you 3 different perspectives that are all literally happening at the same time, and how they're all going to come together and affect each other at the end. It's so different than how almost any other episode in the entire series up to this point is written.
It's kind of funny because later on The Simpsons do a 24 parody, but this is kind of 24 may have stole their format from this episode.
Yeah, it's definitely like 24 before 24. And I very much doubt The Simpsons, came up with this particular method of
not necessarily
storytelling and cinematography. But yeah, like 24 is very much a good reference point of, hey, we're literally, it literally does at points split screen of, hey, we're going to show you this character doing this thing and this character doing this thing, so that hey, you have context for, well, how did this item get into this character's backpack, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's, again, beyond that, I like the Frankie Muniz character aside. I like a lot of the character writing in this. The way that they use Legs. That's his name.
Legs, yes.
He's really good.
He's really good, yes.
Legs and Louie. The guy's wearing a wire. And the firecrackers going off.
Yep.
They think it's gunfire. It's
Fat Tony, is this you? Could you speak up, please?
it's some good dumb writing.
Okay.
It's not a brilliant episode by any means, but it's good writing.
Good writing. So, do you know the reason why this episode has cultural significance off the charts?
No.
2 reasons.
Okay.
Hey, Chief, can I hold my gun sideways? It looks so cool. Number 1.
Of course you can, birthday boy.
Yep. Number 2, and this is the big one. Inflammable means flammable. What a country.
Yeah. It taught me. Literally, Simpsons taught me that. I was like, oh, it's im as in, like, not invincible, but as in, like, imbibe and such. Like, oh, it can be flammable.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, it's a good episode. I like it.
Yeah. Trilogy of Error, it scores a 9 out of 10 for me. Just an FYI.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, that's
almost 10 out of 10 territory, but like it kind of wears at its welcome once you've seen by the end of the episode, like some of the stuff that comes back, like Linguo's death and like the mob storyline isn't the best one, and it's just like it just whatever. Kind of falls apart a little bit by the end, but otherwise, fantastic.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap it up. We're on a little bit of a downward trend, but I'm sure season 13, it's gonna turn it all around, folks. Don't you worry. I mean, hey, if we think about it like this, first episode airs November 2001. It's all just sunshine, rainbows, puppies, and lollipops in the world at that time. So everything's going to be good.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. We'll probably talk about that a little bit in the next episode,
Yeah, probably a little bit. Probably a little bit.
Anything you want to say as a wrap-up?
Like I said, watch season 12 specifically because it is weird. Season 11 is definitely the end of the is the beginning of the Silver Age of The Simpsons, and has a little bit of that golden age, just kind of like just tailing along it, just kind of trailing. It's right there, and then it falls off. It sheds that skin, and it goes on anew for better or for worse.
So when do we get to, like, everyone's favorite timeline of, like, Crisis on Infinite Earth to Flashpoint and all that? I mean, that's, the height of comics. So I assume The Simpsons has a similar point where it's
Well, unlike the Silver Age, let's say the Simpsons Silver Age is very short-lived.
Okay, all right.
And then let's say the modern age, which would be the late 80s and 90s in comics, shows up a little too fast for my own liking.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And then the modern age is here to stay, it seems, from what I've seen so far.
All right. Well, on that note, that very, very convoluted comic analogy, why don't you tell people where to find us?
Yes, you go to our Twitter, which is at EAFNAR. Go there and yell at us about Simpsons. Yell your favorite Simpsons quote at us. Just drive by, yell it at us. That's cool. Go to our Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you can find a podcast. Catch your podcast in a podcatcher. Go to our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe buttons are down somewhere here or there. Just click something. I don't care anymore. And then just share our show with your friends, because there's nothing your friends like more than this idiot talking about The Simpsons and ranking them from 1 to 10, and probably being wrong about which ones are actually good. With the exception of You Only Move Twice. That one is truly a great episode. You should also go to our friend's site, which is djdane.com. That's djdane.com. That's the guy that does our music. Listen to his great tunes. And maybe, just maybe, you get him to have his wife stolen by bikers, played by John Goodman.
I would like that. That'd be a great adventure.
Yeah.
Plus, then I get to talk to John Goodman and be like, yo, please tell me you remember how in that Speed Racer movie you body slammed a ninja on a coffee table. That was sick.
That was pretty good. Or we can have him pile around with Mel Gibson, either one. I don't really care.
Nope. Nope. John Goodman any day of the week.
Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another Eco Freaks episode of Everything is Fucking Ruined. See ya.
Say it. You are correct. You win.